J'ai donné des heures de cours dans cet auditoire. Le public, ce n'est pas le même. La tenue n'est pas la même. Mais j'enseigne ici mon cours d'algèbre linéaire. Alors, quand dans mon cours d'algèbre linéaire, j'arrive au chapitre sur le déterminant d'une matrice, un peu pour impressionner les étudiants, un peu pour justifier le fait qu'il faut aller au-delà de la définition et chercher d'autres méthodes de calcul, je leur explique que si on essaie de calculer le déterminant d'une matrice 11 fois 11 en utilisant la méthode de Laplace, il faut faire 40 millions d'opérations. Je leur explique que si on essaie de calculer le déterminant d'une matrice 25 fois 25, pas à la main, mais avec votre ordinateur qui fait 1 milliard d'opérations par seconde, il faudra attendre la réponse pendant un peu plus de 500 000 années. Alors, quand j'entends aujourd'hui, ce matin, cet après-midi, parler de matrices où il y a des centaines, des milliers, des millions de lignes, des millions de colonnes, je me dis, mon Dieu, ce que je pense est que le fait d'avoir développé des outils conceptuels efficaces pour traiter ce type de problème, c'est une petite victoire dans le rêve de l'homme d'apprivoiser pas à pas l'infini. Et aujourd'hui, nous sommes ici pour honorer deux collègues, Stephen Boyd et Peter Bullmann, qui, par leurs travaux, nous ont fait avancer dans ce rêve. Chers amis, chers collègues, soyez toutes et tous les bienvenus. Je vous remercie pour votre présence. Je remercie les autorités, notre recteur, professeur Vincent Blondel, le vice-recteur du secteur des sciences et technologies, Michel de Villers. Je remercie l'ambassadeur de Suisse, Christian Meuli. J'essaye d'apprendre la bonne prononciation, mais je ne suis pas sûr d'y arriver. Maintenant, la suite de la cérémonie va se dérouler en anglais. Ce sera une cérémonie en 2 mouvements. D'abord, je demanderai à François Gliner d'introduire Stephen Boyd. Ensuite, le recteur lira les attendus et donnera le pittage à Stephen, qui après prendra la parole brièvement. Deuxième mouvement, je demanderai à Rainer von Sachs d'introduire Peter Bullmann. Après, il y aura la proclamation et Peter terminera en prenant la parole. Et moi, je clôturerai la session avec quelques points d'ordre pratique. Merci.
Dear Rector, dear Vice Rector, dear Faculty Deans and Heads of Institutes, dear colleagues, it is with great pleasure that I'm honored to introduce Professor Stephen Boyd, who is the first recipient of our 2 honorary doctorates in the field of data science. Stephen Boyd received a PhD in electrical engineering and computer science from the University of California, Berkeley in 1985. He became a professor of electrical engineering at Stanford University on the same year. He's director of the Information Systems Laboratory at Stanford since 2012. He also had a dozen visiting professor positions in Belgium, United States, Canada, Switzerland, Sweden, France, Italy, China, and Japan. And note that I'm naming countries here and not institutions because the list would be even longer. So, university professors usually see their job as partitioned in 3 missions. Some people may even say 3 equal halves: research, teaching, and service to the society. And despite the risk of troubling our guest's humility, I will spend the next few minutes convincing you that Stephen Boyd is excelling in all 3 missions. So let us start with research. For many researchers and practitioners around the world, and I'm sure for a very big share of the audience today, Stephen Boyd is known as one of the world's leading figures in the field of convex optimization, if not the leading one. This is a field where he has produced an extremely impressive series of contributions, ranging from modeling work to algorithmic advances in domains as varied as signal processing, finance, machine learning, and circuit design. Stefan Boyd is also known for extremely clear surveys describing either classes of models or families of methods that very often instill and trigger a lot of subsequent research activity. He's not afraid to tackle areas as varied as real-time optimization, distributed algorithms, statistical learning, non-smooth optimization, etc. Of course, at this stage, I also need to mention his famous 2004 monograph titled Convex Optimization, co-authored with Lieven van den Berge, who was educated in Belgium at our sister university in Leuven. It is also worthwhile mentioning that this book was and still is freely downloadable from the web, and as we will see later, this attachment to open access and dissemination of knowledge is a constant throughout Stefan Boyd's career. I also want to point out a mystery, and actually Yuri started to talk about that earlier. Stefan seems to have an unusually propension to collaborate on books or other projects with Belgians. And indeed, beyond the aforementioned book with Lieven van den Berge and his work with Alexandre Apremont, Stefan Boyd also co-edited a book on learning and control with another Belgian who is actually sitting here with us. So I'm actually talking about Professor Vincent Blondel, our rector. So actually, since this is a data science doctorate that we are awarding today, let us try a simple application. Extracting information from a large data set, the list of publications from Stefan Boyd. So I stress the fact that we need to use big data techniques for this list. So I'm going to try to show a picture that is derived from this list. So here it is. So what you can see here is words whose size depends on the frequency those words appeared in this list of publication titles. And based on this, and using a very sophisticated knowledge extraction algorithm, one can draw one clear conclusion. Although Stefan's work has mostly focused on optimization during the last decade, he started his scientific career in the field of control theory, as you can see from the picture. And in this field, his achievements led him to another equally impressive amount of recognition and awards, including the IEEE Control Systems Award given in 2013 for outstanding contributions to control systems engineering, science, or technology. Let me also mention his famous book on linear matrix inequalities in systems and control theory with Elgawi, Ferron, and Balakrishnan, which nicely connects with his later work oriented on optimization in semi-definite programming. Assessing research productivity in a quantitative way is probably given too much importance these days, but I cannot resist at least telling you some orders of magnitudes. So according to Google Scholar, which I checked this morning, Stefan Boyd's body of work received a total number of citations that is written with 6 digits and features a 3-digit H index. And I won't say more about these numbers. So these works led to awards too numerous to give an exhaustive list. Let me also mention only the ONR Young Investigator Award, the Presidential Young Investigator Award, and the AAC Donald P. Ekman Award given to the greatest contribution in the field of control engineering by someone under the age of 35. Stefan Boyd is also a fellow of the IEEE SIAM and Informs, a distinguished lecturer of the IEEE Control Systems Society, and a member of the National Academy of Engineering. Moving now to service to society, I'd like to single out one particular type of contribution, software for convex optimization. Indeed, not only is Stefan an expert in formulating and solving convex optimization problems, but he wants you too to become proficient at this. And he will provide the means to achieve that, so that you have absolutely no excuse if you cannot solve your problems. So to fulfill that mission, he has produced a large variety of software tools to be used either for the modeling or the solving of optimization problems. And I want to mention in particular the CVX modeling system designed for disciplined convex programming, which has nothing to do with children education and more to do with taming optimization formulations. So for this work, he received, with Michael Grant, the Mathematical Optimization Society Bill Orchard Hayes Award, given every 3 years for excellence in computational mathematical programming. All this software is open source and freely available, as many of his scholarly works, from his webpage. By the way, speaking about his personal website, which boasts a clean and unassuming design and makes available past paper, books, software, lecture notes, and selected lecture videos, I learned that it gathers more than 1.5 million visits per year, not counting MOOCs or YouTube. So maybe this is a possible topic for another big data project. So you can sometimes hear that teaching is considered as a second-class mission in some universities, maybe in research-intensive institutions. Assuming that this view is held by Stefan cannot be further from the truth, and indeed he is an enthusiastic and tireless teacher, not afraid of classes with multiple hundreds of students. He recorded and made his lectures available online before MOOCs were even an acronym. And of course, nowadays he's also responsible for a very successful course on edX. Stefan Boyd always strives for and achieves clarity of thought, as he reminded us this morning and exemplified earlier this afternoon. It is fair to say that his teaching has had a profound influence on how researchers and engineers use convex optimization. His efforts in this domain have been widely recognized with awards including the Walter G. Gores Award for Excellence in Teaching at Stanford University and the IEEE James H. Mulligan Jr. Education Medal awarded in 2017 for a career of outstanding contributions to education in the fields of interest of IEEE. So I'm afraid I'm now lacking of time to talk about many other aspects of Stefan's career, and I'm sorry I don't have any chocolates to throw to the audience, so I will stop here. After hearing about these achievements, may I now ask you, Vincent Blondel, rector of our alma mater, to award Professor Stephen P. Boyd the title and the distinguishing marks of the Doctor Honoris Causa of the Université Catholique de Louvain.
Considering that Stephen Boyd, born in Ann Arbor, Michigan, on February 11, 1958, PhD in Electrical Engineering and Computer Science at the University of California, Berkeley in 1985, is Professor of Electrical Engineering at Stanford University since 1985 and Director of the Information System Lab since 2012. Considering that Professor Boyd is a recognized expert and leader in the field of convex optimization, where he has tackled numerous applications rising in control, signal processing, machine learning, and finance, and that he has shaped that field with a reference monograph, a large number of open source solvers, and the introduction of discipline convex programming. Considering that Professor Boyd is author or co-author of 4 books and more than 300 publications which have gathered more than 115,000 citations, that makes 1 citation every 5 hours since he was born. That he is a fellow of the IEEE of SIAM and informs, a distinguished lecturer of the IEEE Control System Society, and a member of the National Academy of Engineering, and that his work has been honored by numerous prestigious awards, including the IEEE Control System Award, and the Mathematical Optimization Society Bill Orchard Hayes Award. Considering that Professor Boyd has been invited to deliver more than 90 plenary and keynote lectures at major conferences, including at Université Catholique de Louvain, and that his teaching, both in the classroom and online, has had a profound influence on how researchers and engineers use convex optimization, and was recognized by several awards, including the Walter Gores Award for Excellence in Teaching at Stanford University and the IEEE James Mulligan Jr. Education Medal. We, by virtue of the powers vested in us, designate and declare Professor Stephen Boyd, Honorary Doctor of the Louvain School of Engineering and the Institute of Information and Communication Technology, Electronics and Applied Mathematics of the Université Catholique de Louvain.
So I'm honored and very grateful to receive this honorary degree today. That's especially to receive it in front of many colleagues and friends. Vincent Fidel, Michel Gavert, they're right in front of me, okay. Fellow control theorists. So we're from a small field, but look where we are. So, from Francois Guineur and Yuri Nesterov, fellow optimizers. And many colleagues and friends, also from your sister university in Leuven, Bart Dumour, Jos van der Walle, and others. I should add my 8-day conferences. Anyway, it's an incredibly exciting time right now for data science. I mean, it is or will be transforming everything. Right? So if you're in a field where it hasn't hit there yet, it's coming. So might as well just get ready for it. I mean, this includes things like advertising and business, finance, pure science, medicine, finance, politics, and the humanities. So it's coming. And our access to data and ability to acquire it, transport, store it, analyze it, interpret it, it's never been greater, and it's growing even faster, it's accelerating. So you might even say that the curve is convex, but sorry. Now, for people like me interested in how mathematical ideas and methods can bring insights or deliver new capabilities, this is basically the Wild West right now of data science. It's like everything's wide open, there's tons of stuff to do, it's great. But also like the Wild West, there's some fraudulent claims and snake oil salesmen around. Now even worse, some of those snake oil methods work. That's the most irritating. But actually that just makes it more exciting. And what this tells you is the value of sort of clear and organized thinking right now is very high. It could not possibly be higher. So it's a very exciting field, a very exciting time. And it's something like the intellectual equivalent of being in a big and maybe even a little bit dangerous city like New York or something like that. So very exciting. So my connection to data science revolves around mathematical optimization, right? Where you use a fancy algorithm and powerful computers to do things with data you could never dream of doing by hand. I mean, you can also do things you could do by hand, but the interesting part is to do stuff you could not possibly do. And it's fun because at the same time, it's both quite mathematical and theoretical, and it's also unbelievably useful, which is kind of weird because usually these are on an axis and it's one or the other. So people ask me, is it super mathematical? I say, oh, yes. And they go, oh, it's not very applied. And no, it's the opposite. It's very, so it's fun. Now my interests in optimization go way back. And it turns out, as I already pointed out a couple times, that there's a strong Belgian theme running through it. So I started as a user or consumer of optimization methods. I became interested in using convex optimization to analyze and design control systems, which is my original field. And in the late 80s, I read a bunch of papers on this subject, and especially those written by researchers in the Soviet Union. So this would be in the mid to late 80s. And in 1989, I stumbled on a pre-publication copy of a book that just stunned me. It addressed exactly the kind of problem I was working on right at that time, and alleged that they could be solved extremely efficiently. We were solving them very old methods and things like that. Anyway, that book was written by Arkady Nemirovsky and UCL's own Yuri Nesterov. So that's one. So this was really, I mean, it's kind of like it was very rare that you read something and look at it and say oh my God, this is really important. Anyway, this was one of those moments for me. Now, at that time, I had absolutely no reason to think I would ever meet these people. They were like abstract concepts, and I mean, I saw they were from Moscow, and some were from Kiev or something, but I didn't think I'd ever meet them. No reason to ever. As history had it, I did end up meeting them. And actually now I've become friends with a lot of these people I never thought I'd ever meet for a long time. That includes Yuri and many others. They now accept me as kind of like, almost from Moscow. So anyway, it's a special pleasure for me, an honor, to receive this degree in the presence of one of the few researchers, Yuri Nesterov, who's had simply the most influence on me. So, Yuri, are we colleagues now? I'm just curious. So my second Belgian connection goes back to around the same time, so that's 25 years ago, when a young and brilliant Belgian named Lieven Vandenberg came from your sister university to my group as a postdoc. And we first spent a bunch of time working through Yuri's very dense book of Russian mathematics. But then we ended up working on other projects, and we ended up starting a project that would ended up as the book that we wrote in the course that we created. We actually taught it for the first time together, so I mean, it was great. Anyway, Lieven Vandenberg and I have been like constant collaborators, and we're actually just finishing up a new book right now for undergrads. So that's not very, if you work out the math, that's one book every 12 and a half years. Which is not, I like to say we write slowly or maybe carefully. I don't know, but so in summary, like one of my biggest idols and influences and my closest academic collaborator are, or in the case of, I should say in the case of Yuri, became Belgian. Not to mention a great many friends. I should also mention actually technically a family connection, even to UCL, through my former student, Alex Desper. So that's actually a family. It has to be academic family and an actual family, but in two links you get right here. That's a very close connection. So anyway, I'm delighted to be here. I feel very much at home in Belgium. There we go. I was going to say, indeed, given the way things are going in the U.S., Belgium may end up being my actual home. And I'm assuming that this degree would be looked on favorably in consideration or silent hearing. And by the way, I'll be tapping you. Okay, just so that's good. So finally, I need to thank my colleagues at Stanford across many, many disciplines, colleagues in industry, my former students, postdocs, teachers, mentors, but most importantly, my family, and even more importantly, at the absolute top of the list, my wife Anna, whom I often abandon for academic travel, but I'm very happy to say that I did not this time, and she's able to be here. So, my top appreciation for everything. So, thank you.
Dear Rector, dear Vice Rector, dear Deans and Presidents of Institutes, dear Ambassador, dear colleagues, dear Peter, it is a great honor for me, but also an immense pleasure standing next to you and introducing you for receiving the second of the 2 honorary doctorates we are awarding today. Peter, we have been friends for more than 20 years now, scientifically and beyond. And although we started both from somewhat ordinary time series analysis we did in our PhD thesis, it is clear that you took a more direct route to modern successful statistics. After your doctorate at ETH Zurich, under the guidance of Hans-Rudi Künsch, on Bootstrap for time series, you spent 4 years as a postdoc and assistant professor at the University of California in Berkeley. There I found you back in 1995, having already upgraded to more than a junior bootstrap expert for time series. With Peter Bickel as sort of a senior mentor, you quickly got introduced into Berkeley's stimulating environment, where you learned about the mathematical roots of high-dimensional statistics. But you got also exposed to the many path-breaking discoveries in computational statistics for complex and high-dimensional data, getting excited about things like boosting, bagging, and the lasso we had heard so much about already. You have been at the forefront of developing profound theory on the properties of these methods and to understand how they work when applied to pertinent problems in, for example, genetics or bioinformatics. Interestingly enough, at that time, most of your publications were single-authored. But it is certainly not only for this reason that when you came back to Europe, another rather steep career started, or actually restarted, at ETH. Within only 7 years, you advanced from being an assistant to a full professor at the mathematics department, where you are still today, and one of its leading personalities. Having served as a department chair and having been co-editor of the prestigious Annals of Statistics, one of the top journals in our field, are just 2 examples for that. Research-wise, you have essentially contributed to the high impact that the statistics group of this department has made ever since, at the intersection of mathematical and computational statistics, with many interesting and relevant fields of applications. I will come back to those in a little minute. Let me first mention your continuing talent to work with and guide young colleagues. Many of your recent publications are joined with your almost 30 doctoral students you supervised or co-supervised, and a remarkable high number of them started their promising academic career under your guidance. Lukas Meyer in Zurich, Johannes Lederer in Seattle, and the most senior of them, Nicola Mainshausen, previously at Oxford University, now back in Zurich, are prominent examples. But what is it that is making your research a success story? It is 3 things that you manage to combine, and which not a lot of your peers are able to simultaneously do similarly well. You are foremost a strong mathematician. Being able to derive the theoretical properties of statistical methodology for high-dimensional data analysis and modeling is not given to everybody of us. In your theoretical papers in this field, you developed, among others, what statistical significance means for high-dimensional testing problems and how to construct asymptotically optimal confidence region for these high-dimensional models. We got a good idea about this at your talk previously. But in fact, you are not only strong in mathematical statistics. When dealing with high-dimensional data, nowadays you have to master the algorithmic problems behind the sometimes quite advanced estimation methods that we understood today. In your 2011 book with Sarah van der Geer, another brilliant mathematical statistician at ETH, you deliver, for example, a complete theory of L1 penalization-based statistical methods for high-dimensional data, including those on non-convex loss functions. And finally, virtually all of your research is motivated from practical problems where you actually meet and talk to the practitioners to solve some of these problems in fields mostly, but not exclusively, related to biology and biomedicine. You also gave us very nice examples an hour ago. And here, your other current active field of research, which is on dependency graphs and causality, finds its application too. To name just one of your contributions, your recent 2016 work on methods for causal inference from gene perturbation experiments and validation is going to appear in the proceedings of the National Academy of Science. With this ambitious research agenda, you're a highly solicited colleague, whose presence at international workshops and conferences is always very much appreciated, because on top of this all, you are a great speaker, as you just demonstrated a good hour ago in front of us all. You are a good teacher for your students too, Your lectures are full of humor and sharpness. You can distinguish the important from the unnecessary. Dear Peter, it is really special sharing this long-year friendship with you and your family, part of which is present today. Let me greet in particular your wife Tabia and your father Hans, a distinguished retired actuarial professor at ETH. Let me express my warm gratitude for this, and I'm sure that I can speak in the name of your numerous scientific friends all around the world. Beyond frequently visiting the United States, let me just mention your passion for East Asia, in particular China. I guess you even learned a bit of Chinese in younger years, so it is certainly not by chance that in 2014 you became Distinguished Lecturer of the Chinese Academy of Science. Last not least, Peter, you have yet some other talents. Not only are you a very nice and entertaining person to be with, always in the mood of some good joke. As you love nature, you try to spend as much time as possible outdoors. In fact, you are an enthusiastic and quite successful mountain climber. No wonder, being born and living in such a beautiful mountainous country as Switzerland. Several summits are already on your list of being climbed up, among which the famous Matterhorn and many others. So I'm really admiring you, Peter, for your quite natural talent to combine hard and successful work for our discipline with being at the service for so many people around you, and foremost for your beloved family, your friends, and your colleagues. With this, you actually give us a vision for how one could choose to become a well-esteemed fellow and an example for somebody who is making impacts on our field of data science. For all these reasons, may I now ask you, Vincent Blodel, Rector of our alma mater, to award Professor Peter Bühlmann the title and the distinguishing marks of the Doctor honoris causa of the Université Catholique de Louvain.
Considering that Peter Bühlmann, born in Zurich, Switzerland, on April 12, 1965, doctor in mathematics of the ETH Zurich in 1993, is professor of mathematics and statistics at the ETH Zurich since 2004, and chairman of the Department of Mathematics of the ETH Zurich since 2013. Considering that Professor Bühlmann is a recognized expert in the fields of mathematical statistics, machine learning, and high-dimensional data analysis, that he has contributed to solving pertinent problems in the application of his fundamental research to the field of biology and biomedicine, in particular in genetics and bioinformatics. Considering that he's the author or co-author of 3 books and 161 publications in scientific journals, as well as 11 software packages, that he has served as co-editor of the Annals of Statistics 2010-2012, that he is a fellow of the Institute of Mathematical Statistics and of the American Statistical Association, and that his work has been honored by numerous prestigious scientific distinctions, among which the 2014 Distinguished Lecturer at the Chinese Academy of Science in Beijing, the 2013 Winton Research Prize in London, and several times highly cited researcher in mathematics by Thomson Reuters. Considering that Professor Peter Bühlmann has supervised 24 doctoral and 6 postdoctoral researchers, that he's proven excellent pedagogical qualities, both as plenary speaker of numerous international conferences and as lecturer of a series of short courses, some of which at the Institute of Statistics, Biostatistics, and Actuarial Science at the Université Catholique de Louvain. We, by virtue of the powers vested in us, designate and declare Professor Peter Bühlmann Honorary Doctor of the Faculty of Science and of the Research Institute IMAC of the Université Catholique de Louvain, et on peut l'applaudir.
Dear Rector, dear Vice Rector, dear Deans, dear Heads of Institutes, dear Ambassador, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, I feel extremely honored and I'm very touched to have received a Doctor Honoris Causa from the Université Catholique de Louvain. This is a very special and distinguished university. It has a most interesting and fascinating history dating back to the 15th century, being the first university in Belgium and the Low Countries. It has a stunning list of alumni, including 4 Nobel laureates. And turning to the more recent times in the area of statistics and actuarial sciences, my field of research, it has 4 highly distinguished people who have previously received a Doctor Honoris Causa from this university. Peter Hall, Luc Devroy, Raymond Carroll, and Paul Embrechts. Peter Hall passed away much too early, but all 3 others are present. I want to express my deep appreciation that you came for celebrating this special day. Thank you. On a more personal note, when I was in high school, I had the idea to become a high school teacher in mathematics. And thus I chose to study mathematics. I liked it. I started with my first steps doing research and so on and so forth. I would never ever have thought that at some point in my life I would receive an honorary degree. I'm very thankful for all the people who constantly supported me during my career, and I would like to especially mention my father and my wife who are here. I want to express my deep gratitude to the Université Catholique de Louvain, to the rector, vice rector, the deans and heads of institutes who are all present. My special and sincere thanks go to the entire Institute of Statistics, Biostatistics and Actuarial Sciences. The honor Doctor Honoris Causa, which I have received today, is rooted in the ground of the initiators. A wholehearted thank you to every person in this wonderful institute. Mesdames et messieurs, je suis profondément touché. Je ne l'oublierai jamais ce jour et je vous remercie beaucoup. Merci.
To close the ceremony, it remains only to invite you to join us for a drink in the main hall, and thank you to you.